$40. That's what killed Blockbuster. Not Netflix, not streaming, not Wi-Fi, not a pandemic, not a hedge fund, not even bad management, though there was plenty of that. A $40 late fee, one customer, one rental, one afternoon in 1997, a bored clerk scanning a copy of Apollo 13, a receipt printing out longer than it should, and a $5 billion empire quietly signing its own death warrant without noticing. This is the story of how the most boring possible corporate transaction, a late return, rewired the entire global media economy. And you've probably been told it wrong your whole life. Here's what the myth says. A broke guy rents a movie, forgets to return it, gets hit with a $40 fee, rages home, invents Netflix, clean, elegant, perfect for a TED Talk. There's just one problem. Almost none of it is true. The man wasn't broke. The fee might never have happened. And the real villain of this story isn't a clerk, or a CEO, or even Blockbuster itself. It's something much quieter, much more dangerous, and you're almost certainly participating in it right now. Stick around, because the real reason Blockbuster died, it's about to happen to somebody else. It might already be happening to you. La Honda, California, 1997. A man walks into a Blockbuster, late 30s, beat-up jeans, the kind of guy you wouldn't look at twice. His name is Reed Hastings. He just sold his last company, Pure Software, for $750 million. He's not broke. He's obscenely rich, but he's also carrying a VHS tape of Apollo 13 that's 6 weeks overdue. His wife found it, wedged behind a cabinet, covered in dust. And Reed Hastings, MIT grad, Peace Corps math teacher, newly minted multimillionaire, does what literally every human on Earth does in that situation. He panics, and he drives it back to the store. He walks up to the counter, slides the tape across. The clerk scans it. Long pause. Sir, there's a late fee. Right. How much? $40. Sorry, how much is the movie worth new? $12.95. So I could have bought 3 of these instead of returning this one? Yes, sir. And you want $40? Yes, sir. For a movie that's already back in your hand? Correct. Okay, can I speak to your manager? He also wants $40. Reed pays it. He walks out. He gets in his car. And somewhere between the parking lot and his driveway, in the quiet rage of a man who just did math on a $12 movie, a $150 billion company is born. Now, stay with me, because here's where it gets interesting. Blockbuster in 1997 is not a company. It's a cathedral, 9,000 stores, 84,000 employees, $6 billion in revenue, a corporate temple built on 2 holy sacraments, late fees and impulse candy. At its peak, late fees alone are generating $800 million a year. That's 16% of total revenue, coming entirely from customer mistakes. Reed Hastings looks at that and sees, not a business, a hostage situation. So he sits down with his co-founder, a guy named Mark Randolph, and they build the opposite of Blockbuster. No stores, no late fees, no guilt. Mail order DVDs, flat monthly fee, keep them as long as you want. They call it Netflix. And for 2 years, nobody cares. 2 years. Netflix is bleeding money. DVDs are still exotic. The dot-com crash hits. Investors vanish. So, in the year 2000, Reed Hastings flies to Dallas, Texas, walks into the headquarters of Blockbuster Video, sits across from the CEO, a man named John Antioco, and he offers to sell the entire company, all of Netflix, for $50 million. $50 million. For context, Blockbuster's own private jet cost $42 million. Antioco could have bought Netflix with couch cushion money, crushed the competition, saved his empire, retired a god. Instead, and this part is real, documented, and witnessed, he laughed out loud, in the room, at the man, who would later own his lunch, his dinner, and his breakfast. The meeting goes something like this. John, we think we could really complement each other. Netflix runs the online business. You run the stores. Online? Reed? The .com thing just blew up. Nobody's making money online. The internet is over. It's not over. People hate coming to stores. People love coming to stores. That's why we built 9,000 of them. What if they didn't have to? Then we wouldn't have late fees. Right, that's kind of the point. Reed, no offense, but your business model is people not paying us. Why would I buy that? Because in 10 years, it's going to be the only business model left. Uh-huh. Well, good luck with all that. Reed flies home. Netflix keeps bleeding, and Antioco goes back to collecting $800 million a year in punishment money. For now. Here's the part nobody talks about. Blockbuster didn't die because of Netflix. It died because of its own balance sheet. Those $800 million in late fees, that wasn't revenue. That was a drug. An IV line of customer shame plugged directly into the company's bloodstream. And every executive decision, every store lease, every quarterly earnings call was built on the assumption that human beings would keep forgetting to return tapes forever. It's called revenue dependency. And it's everywhere. Airlines bet you'll miss your flight. Gyms bet you'll stop showing up. Banks bet you'll overdraft. Subscriptions bet you'll forget to cancel. The entire modern economy is a machine for collecting money from your smallest, most human mistakes. Blockbuster wasn't killed by streaming. It was killed by no longer being able to punish you for being human. But here's the kicker. The twist that turns this whole story inside out. The Apollo 13 late fee, the myth, the origin story, the foundation of the entire Netflix mythology, may never have happened. Reed Hastings himself has told the story dozens of times. His co-founder, Mark Randolph, has publicly said, "Yeah, that never actually went down like that. It was a metaphor, a pitch deck story, something Reed made up later to explain Netflix to journalists." Let that land. The story that killed Blockbuster wasn't even real. The late fee was the narrative, not the cause. Hastings didn't need a parking lot epiphany. He needed a good opening line. And by telling it enough times, on enough stages, to enough reporters, he turned a marketing bit into a historical fact. And a historical fact into a tombstone. Blockbuster wasn't killed by a fee. Blockbuster was killed by a story. In 2010, Blockbuster files for bankruptcy. 9,000 stores close. 84,000 people lose their jobs. Netflix closes out 2010 with a market cap of $9 billion. Today, it's worth over $300 billion. And John Antioco, the man who laughed, was quietly fired by his own board 4 years after turning Reed down. He walked away with a severance check, reportedly about $40 million. $40 million, for losing a company to a $40 fee that might not have existed. So, last question, the one worth sitting with. Every business you love, every subscription you're still paying, every late fee, overdraft, renewal charge, somebody, somewhere, is collecting $800 million a year from your forgetting. The question isn't whether your Blockbuster is coming. It's whether you can see it yet.